to our chat, Healthy Body, Healthy Mind. Thank you, Dr. Johann.
Thank you.
For joining us. And we have something different, not vitamins or minerals, but something that happened to David when he went to visit Kim.
Okay.
So he used to travel a lot, David, many flights, many places, and then he got sugar problems. So yeah, I don't know all the stages and levels, but he is on medication. And there was one time that he met Kim overseas, and when he got off the plane, his legs and his feet were swollen, almost double the size. He had taken precaution in that he'd worn these socks that I bought.
Stockings,
okay,
yes.
So but what was the cause of that, and how serious, and what else can you do when you travel to prevent?
Yes.
What is it, a circulation problem?
Well, it's interesting that modern day travel, of course, we all travel at altitudes over 30,000 feet. Most aircraft travel above those levels. And the cabins, as you know, are pressurized. So already you're jeopardized with certain aspects of the hemodynamics in the body, adapting to the rarefication of the air and this pressurized cabin. So your circulation is also influenced. And all people advised, no matter if they're young, old, or indifferent, or overweight, or cardiac sufferers, or renal sufferers, or anybody suffering an illness should always be warned about the risks of travel by flight.
Sure.
Because of the air travel being in this rarefied atmosphere with this atmospheric pressure. And you should advise people with certain conditions like heart disease, even diabetics. As you mentioned, some David had been discovered having had this problem, but it hadn't quite emerged as being a concern and threatening in any way, till he got off the plane and Kim said to him, "Oh, you've got these big puffy legs, what's wrong with you?" And the answer was simply, David had put on elastic stockings. He'd done the right thing. He even travelled first class. And he slept on a flat surface bed. So which would have been a good factor. It would have saved him some embarrassment of even a worse puffy leg, meaning up above the ankle, which could have compromised what we call pressure in the compartments of the lower leg. And there's pressure there from the fluids outside the muscle and in the fascia, the tissues, which pressurize and converge pressure onto the veins. And the veins return blood from the lower limb to the heart. And should you keep that pressure there and not mobilize the pumps we have, we've got pumps in our body other than our heart, and they're the calves. The calves are most important pumps. That's why we always recommend people who are sedentary, patients in hospital, people flying on aeroplanes. Please get up every hour, hour and a half, walk. Just walk up and down the corridor. That pump works and returns the venous flow from the bottom limbs back to the heart, so that you don't have this accumulation of blood lying almost if it dams up in the lower limbs. And that, of course, can lead to clotting. And if you have a blood clot formed down the lower limb and the clots in the deep veins, they can cause trouble when they just shoot off, and they can cause problems in your heart, problems in your lung, and it can be a sudden death syndrome. So one is always a little cautious about people travelling, even by any means, where they sit too long. Even in a motor car, you travel, you should, after 2 hours, get out, stop the car, walk around the car 2 or 3 times, get back in the car, travel. It also alerts the mind, of course. So it stimulates the adrenaline, that your mind is awake to concentrate, focus on driving. But it's your limbs and your muscles, the pumps in your calves, that help bring the blood flow back.
You think David didn't walk enough?
I think David probably had been walking a lot before he'd got onto the plane. Being with Kim and them and their activities is from here to there, and David was doing a lot of sound work, obviously with equipment and running on stages, and with Kim was always in a hurry and movement here and there. He was over-exerting himself in terms of physical. So now suddenly he's sedentary.
That's true.
And the muscle then it relaxes and the pump's not working, and the body's asking, oh, my fluid's accumulating extracellularly. So the fluids are going into the tissues around.
So the socks weren't enough?
The socks were helping, but there's a different sock with a different pressure. In his case, what helped him was his bed rest, elevating his leg. But also he probably did walk once or twice in the plane, so it was not too bad. But Kim's observant eye was saying, wow, there's puffy ankles, what's going on here? And that's probably what alerted everybody to the problem with the travel and fear of whether it is diabetes, the sugar, or it was the veins and the clots that could have formed. So those are concerns. You always tell people, should you have had that experience, travel with a Disprin before you go on a plane, or have a heparinized injection before you go on a plane, just to prevent those aspects. Or if you're young and fit, or you're out of condition, or you're overweight or obese, you just make special arrangements with your doctor. Go and see your specialist. Go and see your general practitioner. And they'll advise you, look, in your condition, you should be heparinized. Or just Disprin will be fine. Or wear elastic
So what is
stockings.
heparin? Is it the pill?
Heparin is a way to thin out the
thin
blood. It's they use to thin out the blood. And that advice would be then determining the person talking to or seeing and examining. So that's
A normal, completely healthy person travelling overseas should get up and walk every now and again?
It should apply to everybody. Children are lucky because, I mean, they're so hyperactive. They're not going to sit still in any case. You don't have to bother about them. They're more a nuisance to everybody. But at least they keep the patients alert who have to get up sometimes. And you move. That's
So
a very
simple things that
Common
could be
sense.
done. Common
Yes.
sense, like with
Common
David. Now,
sense.
wear the stocks. Maybe
in the
take
plane 2
something
hours.
to thin his blood
Have a
out
little
if it's,
Disprin perhaps before he gets on
Disprin.
Disprin when he gets off again.
and keep
And have checkups on his vascular supply to his legs. Have his pulses checked. See that these things aren't happening abnormally.
How long did it take? Would it have taken from the time he got off the plane? In a day or two?
He would have probably taken about another 6 to 8 hours after getting off the
Okay.
plane to start realizing it's going to start settling down now. But it's usually a day or two.
Okay.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Thank you
So
very
travel,
much for
be
that.
careful. Yes.
Travel wisely, right? Look after
Absolutely.
our bodies, gosh.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us. It was
Lovely.
lovely having you. Thank you then.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.